Welcome to Hello Kind Soul Podcast, where we raise the vibration of kindness on a global scale. I'm Dr. Ebony Green, your host, and I'm super excited to be with you today. If you want to follow us on all major platforms, look us up at Hello Kind Soul Podcast. And if you want to follow me, look me up at eGreen Equity. I hope you enjoy the episode. Have a great day. Welcome to Hello Kind Soul Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Green, and we are so excited. I'm super delighted to be in the presence of Daelantae Marshall, who is the owner of BioBalanced Organics here in Arizona. Thank you so much for being on the podcast with me today.
Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. So, funny backstory, folks. I came in to just check out this amazing apothecary, and I stumbled upon an amazing human. And so I thought, why not us have a conversation about what this means to you? Where did it come from? And how has this become part of your purpose? So share with us any social media links you want folks to go to in order to look at your products, purchase your products.
You can check out www.biobalancedorganics.com, which is our website. Also, we have a Google page that gives you all those links, and you can check out our social media, which is our business name, at BioBalanced Organics on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So tell us, how did this come to pass? Like, when did you decide to do this? Like, what is the roots of it?
Well, in 2014, I was prescribed a bunch of pharmaceutical medications, and really they weren't working, to be perfectly honest. It wasn't doing anything for me, I'll say, and I can't speak for other people, but one day I was praying, and then on YouTube, random videos of herbs just started popping up everywhere. So I was like, okay, what are herbs used for? I remember my grandmother using herbs when we had ear infection as a kid. She would make something out of some stuff she got from the backyard, and she would blow the smoke into our ears, and then we didn't have ear infections anymore. So I was like, maybe this is something I'm supposed to learn about. So at that time I was studying anthropology in undergrad, and I pretty much just found valerian root, which is a herb that they formulate opiums out of. So Percocet, oxycodone, different kinds of pharmaceuticals they use multiple plants for. And I learned that they extract the one compound versus putting the entirety of the plant into the medication. So for me, it was like, how can I use it? Once I started using it and it worked, I haven't had a migraine since. It's become a part of my everyday life.
Awesome. Awesome. So I can imagine people come here all the time and are not quite sure what they need. So how have you become so good at kind of helping them figure it out? So when I said to you, I have this knee pain, what are the things that kind of make you so focused on how do I help people of all walks of life heal in different ways or feel better?
Well, I guess working in public health for most of my career, I learned that a lot of times people don't really know what they want until you get them to tell you what it is that they are looking for. So for me, if a person comes in and like, oh, I have this issue going on, I'm like, well, what is it that you do on a day-to-day basis that could be causing this issue? Or I try to figure out what the potential root cause could be before just giving them something. So I like to ask questions and just have a conversation, to be honest. And a lot of times the information just comes from that. And there's plenty of herbs that do the same exact things, but some of them are more potent than others for specific conditions.
So it's interesting because for me, I've been on this healing journey for multiple years. And what I finally got to was okay, your mind can be sound, but your body can be hurting. And so the best part of us is trying to align both ways, right? So how did you figure out this is a way for people to heal or to add value to their lives, right? So we're not going to go into real sickness, and obviously because we're not doctors and we don't prescribe stuff, but I think there's great value in being able to engage in tea in a way that actually adds value to your body in a way that makes you stronger, for example. So how did you get to the place where it's okay, this helped me, so now I don't have headaches. How can I do this and mass produce it so that I can help multiple people?
Honestly, I was pushed into doing it this way. I worked in HR, so I worked with people every day. And in doing that, I still was interacting with the herbs, learning about them. I would be in my office just reading about them. And to become more aware of the frequencies that the plants work on and how a plant seed can literally interact with our DNA and figure out what it needs to do. there's plenty of websites, like specific government websites that talk about it too. So I guess in working with individuals in human resources and people drinking the teas just because they were in my office and having them come back and tell me specifically like, oh, this has been beneficial or this has worked. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's pretty cool because I wasn't using it for a business at the time. I registered it as such, but it was more so just for me to have something that I can call my own. And then in 2022, I stopped working for a corporate facility and God was like, bruh. No, it was, that song Beyonce, You Won't Break My Soul? I think that's
100%. Yeah.
In my office one day randomly, I was listening to this song. And I was just like, dang, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do because I love people and I love learning about people, which is why I study anthropology. But it was one of my nurses came in and she had asked me about a spray that I had made specifically for essential oil purposes because it's a little hot in the building. And she pretty much said how the spray calmed her anxiety, right? And I'm like, oh, cool. I never looked at it from that perspective. So it was just random little droplets from random people that I was just interacting with normally that gave me the idea that, oh, this is something that really works. And no matter if your intention is to make it work for something particular, the plants are going to do what your body needs it to do.
It's so wild. It's interesting because you're saying like, this kind of happened and that kind of happened. I hope you realize that it was all divine.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like the thing that you're trying to avoid will always chase you until you kind of like, okay, I'm going to surrender and do this thing, right? So the thing that I'm really curious about is all of this is like prepared, it's polished, but I know there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes that you're doing and your team is doing. So walk us through, like, how do you harvest this? How do you keep up with the demand? Like what you were earlier, we chatted, you were talking about farms.
Yeah.
So give us a little like sneak peek into the behind the scenes.
Well, initially when I first started off, I had a friend that also has a shop in Inglewood who connected me to some of her growers. And then from there, I was like, oh, if it's people instead of like an online website that I could work with, then I could find anybody to get plants from, right? But when I initially like really got big into it, the shop space in 2023, I was starting off with getting small quantities of them. So just like reaching out to people and kind of acting like a different person every time I would call just to see if I'm getting
Changing your voice.
I still do that to this day. That's how I really source a lot of my plants because I want to make sure that people are getting the best possible quality that they can get. So I don't mind paying the most for it if I have to. But one of the guys that I work with, his name's Joseph. He's a black guy here in Arizona. He actually produces 1/3 of my product line. And then I have a lady in Sri Lanka and another guy who his name is Mahamadou. He's based in Malawi. And
wow.
Yeah, it was just for me initially building an online relationship with people and utilizing the specific apps. Like I can't really say I don't get
no, we don't talk about apps.
Utilizing apps to
we only talk about apps when they pay us to talk about them.
Exactly. So yeah, I was just like utilizing different apps to connect with people. And then during COVID, I was able to actually sit down and build relationships that I could sustain, where I'm able to now procure large quantities from about 13 different states here in the United States. I have an actual grower that goes to St. Lucia to their families farm, and they scuba dive for my sea moss. He's amazing. And then I have, the lady in Sri Lanka. I've been working with her now for about 1.5 years, and I get all of my cinnamon from her. It's just been pretty cool to I guess you could say, find new ways to source plants that is also sustainable for the earth. So I love it.
Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah, I would say yes. At one point, I didn't even notice that I was doing like so well until one day I was talking to my mom and she's like, boo-boo, you ever stop to think that everything that happened ain't happening to you, it's happening for you?
100%.
And I'm like, you know what, Mama, you right. Because when I started working as HR, I was devastated. I didn't know what I was going to do next, especially it was just like after the fallout of the pandemic. So I'm like, whatever. And look at it now. It went from being 30 herbs on the shelf to over 170 something herbs. So
it's insane, right? I'm asking you that because it's so wild. Like when we're in pursuit of this thing, we're head down doing it, right? And so often we forget to kind of turn around. I'm getting goosebumps, like, and say, wow, I did that, right? And so as you're saying all these things you're doing, I'm like, do you even realize how amazing you are? Because what you've done is no small feat. And it has absolute impact in this world, especially at a time where, many people are starting to have real conversations about pharmaceuticals and what that means for folks. And is it really treating the ailments? And there's got to be different ways to like increase healthy things in my body, right? And so I think you come along at a really amazing time where people can come to you and add value based on different teas that they're taking in. And so often that becomes something that gets lost. The other piece is that you've done this, and I'm sure people have helped you, but you're the mastermind. And so I think it's important, particularly for people who are doing entrepreneurial work, to sit sometimes in their greatness and be like, wow, look what I did. And look who I'm helping. And look how many people. And so earlier you were sharing stories, which I won't share on camera because I don't think they were meant to share. But the types of people that you've helped, like, I don't think you even understand fully the ripple and the vibration that you're sending out in the world. Because, even with the stuff I bought for my mom, like my mom suffers with a lot of chronic pain. And so I'm excited. I texted her before I got here and I was like, I got your stuff. And she's like, oh, I can't wait. Thank you, baby. Right. And I think the other question for me is this personal to you?
Oh, yes. It's very personal. If you check out our About Me section on the website, it goes into deep dive as to why I created this and what happened within my close environment that had given me reason to believe that working with plants is something that could be beneficial, not only for myself, but for my friends and their friends and their friends' friends. And with this, I believe that I'm actually being prolific, if you will. And a lot of times people are like, oh, you're a healer. I'm like, I don't really consider myself to be that. I think it's God that's doing it. I just get the knowledge to know how to give the, pieces to the whole puzzle, if you will.
Yeah, so I get it. Like you're basically saying you're used as a vessel to do the work. And I feel exactly the same. And I've said that multiple times.
Today too, you did.
Yeah, I mean, so because the thing is like, can we be obedient to the call, right? Because what you did isn't safe, right? You did something brave. And I always tell people I do everything afraid. Like, I've been around a long time. I do everything afraid. And more because if I take the time to consider the other side of the fear, right? Like somebody said to me 2 years ago, it literally said, you can't be fearful and faithful at the same time.
Ooh.
And I got so mad because I was sitting squarely in fear. So I was irritated. But then I thought about like, well, how much would we really do if we actually understood how much work was ahead of us, right? Like even if someone showed you the finished product of where you're going, which I think this is probably just the beginning of a huge, huge empire, right? If you knew the level of work in front of you, the question is, will we do it? Because it's ups and downs and there's mistakes. And so what do you say to someone who is kind of on the brink of like doing the very thing that's for them, right? Similar same to you. They, lost their job or left or have this wild idea they want to pursue. Like, what's your advice to them if they're thinking of all the reasons they shouldn't?
My grandmother always told me when you're fearful of something and you run from it, it catches you. Mm-hmm. So eventually you're going to have to do what you're supposed to do anyway. So instead of being afraid of it, start slow. I mean, I did. And then stick to it. Pray. Don't forget to pray. And a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm not religious, blah, blah, blah. But prayer is a personal conversation between you and whatever or whomever you communicate with to bring you that peace of mind to know what you're doing is going to happen, right? Mm. And just have blind faith. When you get a job, you have blind faith that they're going to pay you every single 2 weeks, right?
Truly.
So you need to have blind faith that people are going to be brought to you that's supposed to be in your presence, that's going to help you grow and sustain what it is that you're meant to do. Now,
what are your thoughts about? So I know that obviously this is successful, but I'm positive that you've hit bumps, right? And roadblocks. Tell me about what's your process when there's challenges in your way? Like, how do you continue to persist even though sometimes it's hard?
Well, initially I used to just take a nap because I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. I need a nap. And then last year, actually 2023, the craziest thing happened. I was in another location and randomly I just wasn't in that location anymore. And the day that it happened, I was like, I called my mama. I'm like, Mama, I don't know what to do. I'm about to just go home and take a nap. And her and one of my other friends are like, what are you about to take a nap for? You got things to take care of. Like, you got to figure it out. So after that day, to be honest, I just do it. Like when I have roadblocks now, or when things happen where at one point I wasn't able to get some of my herbs in stock because one of my growers was out for so long, then I'm like, okay, how do I, curtail this when it's someone that I've already established a powerful relationship with, unable to provide something that I need? And usually I would just wait, right? I wouldn't go for it, try to figure it out. But this time I actually went for it. Like, I have customers that want what I need. I have people who actually need to utilize these items. Not saying that they're meant to treat or prevent anything, but there are people who are looking for them. So I actually found a really cool farmer in Columbus, Ohio, that I built a really good relationship with, that I didn't even think that I would be able to communicate with effectively because of a specific kind of barrier. And really, I learned to not allow myself to experience issues as such, as something that is happening to me again, but it's happening for me, one, to probably find better, or two, to be in a better position or put someone else in that space. So,
do you feel like every year you get a little bit stronger?
Oh, I feel like every week I get a little bit stronger because I love softball and I love being able to travel and do what I want. And for months straight, I was unable to do that. I would literally just come to the shop, go home, read, take notes, do consultations, go TikTok live, and every single day was like a repeating cycle. As a Sagittarius, that is just not a thing. But, I say that I just truck along with it.
How do you seek balance in your life? Because I've been here maybe 30 minutes and you've probably had 5 phone calls and 3 clients, right? So clearly you're a thing here. People love you. You do a lot. So, the best type of people are those who work really hard but are almost protective, overprotective about their peace, right? And so talking with you earlier today, I was like, you just seem like a whole vibe, right? And that doesn't happen on accident. So how do you continue to seek balance and peace in your life?
I pray. I don't know how many times. I really do. I don't have high stress. Even when things are stressful, I'm usually okay, God, what is it? What am I supposed to be doing? Or what is this message for? Why am I sitting here right now in this situation? And usually it comes to me and I'm like, oh, okay, I can handle it. So with regards to balance, I have a lot of really good people around me
community
that love me. And that's why my core value, the first, is community. And even though people who I really don't know personally that I've met, via social media, they're very peaceful, kind, positive people as well. So honestly, when something is stressful, I guess I pray, and the people who are around me provide me with such good love that I don't really think much about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's wild because community is super important. And that theme has come up all week that I've been here. There's this idea of how community are your roots, right? They tie you to the ground when you start to feel unsteady. And so, it's super important. You also said that you pray and you listen to God. How, and you may or may not be able to answer this, but how have you learned to listen to God's response, God's voice?
When I ignore it, it tends to be one of those situations where if you get a message, for example, and it says, oh, you probably shouldn't go down that alleyway. And you're like, man, whatever. And you go down the alleyway, now you're getting bit by a snake and cat, right? It's like, dang, I should have just not went down the alleyway because it's told me not to. Or when you're in a situation and you get a message like, oh, you probably shouldn't be this person's friend, or you shouldn't be dealing with this type of energy, and you ignore it, then they become worse to you or worse to others around you. And if you're someone who you experience other people's experiences just from hearing them or just being around it, then really you just have to know to just remove it. Yeah.
Your discernment.
Very much. And I pray for that too. Because that was one thing growing up. My grandparents were Hebrew. So we actually read the Torah and the Old Testament, and a lot of the messages in that book specifically is discernment. pray for it, ask for it. Once you get it, you'll know, intuition. We all have it, right? But we don't necessarily know how to, I guess you could say, interact with the intuition that we have, because a lot of times we see it as, oh, that's just me being anxious or whatever. But really, it could be something that is meant to protect you or provide something for you in a way.
So what advice do you give to a younger kid who happens to watch this, right? And they want to do what you do? Like, what are some of the things you would say? What's a good place for them to start, right? Because you've done a lot. So give them one or two books or one of two ways, point them in a direction of how they could learn more about becoming, owning up apothecary or being more clear about what does what. Because even I walked in the store, I have I don't know, more than half of this does, right? So if someone younger is looking and they're like, I want to do what he's doing, how do they go about that?
Well, I say first, human anatomy is very important. And when I say that, I mean learning and understanding how the different organs in the body work and interact with each other. Then you can learn how each one of these plants will interact with those specific organs to assist it in its processes or its, I guess you could say, homeostasis or balance, if you will. And then from there, just learning about the plants and what they can do and what they can't do. The NIH is a very resourceful website.
That's the National Institute of Health, yo.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. National Institute of Health is a very good website. They have a lot of research studies that they've done on about 90% of the plants that I have here. Then also the Britannica of medicine for Europe, they actually utilize and prescribe herbs in their pharmacology. So they have a lot of information on a bunch of different herbs that you can use. Then my favorite book is the American Encyclopedia of I think it's Human Anatomy, which is a really good one. And my favorite book that I've used in my educational processes is called The Prescription for Nutritional Healing. Volume 5 is really good. And it gives you a lot of information with regards to how to properly cleanse and detox the body, different mechanisms that the blood utilizes in order to provide different nutrients to the different organs, with regards to oxidation. It's just so much different stuff. But if I were to talk to a kid and I would tell them specifically how to do it, play in your backyard, play in dirt, go outside. There are a lot of apps now that you can use. And one, I am going to say this app is called, darn it, can I check my phone? I'll check it later and tell you. But it's a app where you can take pictures of it. It's an AI app. You take pictures of the plant.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives you the anatomy of the plant. And then from there, you can go and do more research, right? Obviously, you can find YouTube videos and just have fun with it. Don't look at it as you're trying to create a business. Look at it as you're trying to create something that you can pass down or that you can utilize for yourself to make yourself better.
It's interesting you say that something you could pass down, because it makes me think about the fact that you reference your grandma in her healing you as you were younger, right? And so where do you hope that this goes? In 5 years, what do you want this to be?
Well, in 5 years, I want to have a huge educational institution that provides anyone who wants to involve themselves in herbal knowledge or herbal wellness to be able to utilize. But I also want multiple herbal apothecaries all through the valley and throughout the U.S. so that people can pretty much use it as how we do. Here we have it as a social lounge. So a lot of people come, they do their work. I have professors that come and hang out and make it something that's fun and educational for everyone.
I appreciate that. It's so interesting because I think part of what I love about what you're doing is you're normalizing natural ways of being. And I think it's almost like this ancient medicine that people forgot about and don't understand. There's always a phrase, there's nothing new under the sun. But I think there is something about forgetting that that it's here on offer. And so the idea that you're able to not only do this for people, but really teach folks to think really critically about what you consume and how that's attached. But I also balance that with you referencing multiple times, understanding the science and biology behind everything. And so while, there's a little 5-year-old inside of me who's like, I can go do this, the truth of the matter is I'm awful at science. And so if I have an apothecary, folks, do not come into it because I don't know what I'm doing. So I also want to just lift you up in that way to say, what you're doing on the face of it could be missed. And people could think like, oh, anybody can come do this. But it's the love of what you're doing that's coupled with the knowledge that you're willing to seek in order to lift this up in a way that really can be a legacy, right? That's something you could pass down to other members of your family, et cetera. So we're coming up on time. So I have 2 questions I ask every guest. The first question is, what does it mean to be a kind soul?
Well, to me, what it means to be a kind soul is to be willing to help others or do for something or someone who can't do for you, or to be willing to provide, I guess you could say, love, if you will, without expectation of receiving it back from someone else.
I love that. So here's our last question. Daelantae, ready?
Yeah.
There's someone out there who is struggling. We live in a world that's very complex, and there are a lot of folks holding a lot of stuff, and a lot of our viewers are from all walks of life. So you can look at either camera and talk to someone out there who's struggling today and give them information or encourage them in some way, shape, or form, and remind them of their power so that they can continue to go on to the next day.
Okay. Well, I say that a lot of people don't believe in prayer because they think it's about religion, but to be honest, praying opens doors for things that a lot of us don't realize that we have the opportunity to seek or experience. And just have the faith that no matter what you're going through right now, it can always get better, and it's not happening to you. It's happening for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for allowing me into your space. Y'all, after we cut, I'm going to take some pictures of footage, and we will have the links to the places where people could shop. I'm so grateful to be in community with you today and for you to share your wisdom, your joy, your heart with us. So I'm grateful.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. Listen, as you know, I hope you have an amazing day. And most importantly, do not let anyone take the J out your joy. Continue to go into the world and raise the vibration of kindness on a global scale. Until next week, peace.
Peace.